Hi everyone and welcome to Lanarkshire Family History Society's webinar for December. My name is Claire Wilson and I will be your host for this evening. My co-host is Christine Woodcock. How are you, Christine?
I'm good now. This morning I was getting ready. I had a webinar and finished blow drying my hair. And because I had this today, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to put a spritz of hairspray in it. So that's fine. And of course, you do your hair with your glasses off. I go to put my glasses back on and I had the hairspray in my hand and sprayed it right into my eye.
Oh, is it all
So
right
then it
now?
was all, yeah, but it was all like stuck together. And
Oh, your eyelashes.
what the heck did I just do?
I know,
Ah,
that's the thing sometimes when you wear glasses, isn't it?
yeah, gosh. Anyway, so
So
it's all
anyway,
good now, though.
good. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. And how's the weather in Canada? Is it snowing yet? Or?
It's no, we've had like a dusting of snow off and on, but nothing that's really not what we're used to. It's supposed to be like 13 or something tomorrow,
Right,
which is ridiculous.
yeah, I think we were kind of higher today. We've had a bit the same as well, a couple of dustings of snow, but the rain seems to have cleared it up.
Yeah,
Be quite happy if it continues like that. I just don't like the
I know.
snow.
I know. as much as we're killing the planet, I'm kind of liking the
I
weather.
know, I know. I wish it would just snow for Christmas Day and then go away and then that would be it. But yeah. Anyway, tonight's presentation will be slightly different. And that we're not actually streaming to YouTube tonight. This is because the second half of the presentation is going to involve a chat. So if you wouldn't mind keeping your cameras off and your volume off as well, what we'll do is we'll record it. We will upload the presentation section of tonight onto YouTube tomorrow, and it just means that everybody's not being seen on the YouTube video, and then we can turn them off whenever we go to the chat section. So pop a note into the chat box and tell us where you're watching from tonight. And the second half, as I say, we're going to have a chat. We'd love to hear stories about any festive traditions that you have within your family, any amazing discoveries that you've made this year. If you're planning on doing some research over the holidays, what that's going to involve. I'm sure we've got lots of stories. I think you'll agree, Christine. The one thing this year and last year, no family historian has been bored during COVID.
No, true. Yeah, absolutely true. There's
You
been
know,
loads to do, and especially with everything now coming online, it's been fabulous. Just to, yeah.
yep. So that's the good thing. None of us have been bored, and I'm sure that there's plenty of people made some exciting discoveries. So we want to hear them all. First of all, I'd like to just quickly share a couple of slides with you. Let me get to the first one. So Christine and I run the Kilted Ancestors group on Facebook. And next year we're going to be hosting a range of free events within the group. All of these are free to members. There are some amazing companies and individuals coming in to do talks for us, and I think everyone will find it of benefit to their research. I will place a link into the chat for anyone who wishes to join. You can also check out a bit more on my website, treehousegenealogy.co.uk, and if you go to projects and Kilted Ancestors, that tells you a bit about what the group's about, and it's got all the links there as well. We will be updating that page as things progress throughout the year as well. And the next thing that's quite exciting, we're excited about it, Christine.
Very.
So we will be hosting a quarterly conference next year, embracing Scotland's Year of Stories, and it will be called Kilted Culture. We hope to bring you some details soon. We are just finalising a couple of speakers, and we will be releasing details soon. So you will get information through Lanarkshire Family History Society, certainly on Christine's Scottish Genealogy page, my Treehouse Genealogy page, Kilted Ancestors group. We'll put it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yep, everywhere. Yep. So keep an eye out for it, and we will be telling you a bit more in January. Let me just stop sharing. So as I said, 2022 is the Year of Stories. in Scotland, and Lanarkshire Family History's next webinar will be on the 13th of January. So we thought it quite relevant that that webinar be all about Year of Stories, what's going on in the country, some of the the important events that are taking place during that year. And we have an amazing speaker. We've got Graham Johncock from Scotland Stories, and Graham will be exploring the vibrant history and culture of Lanarkshire through the legendary stories and folklore. This will cover everything from William Wallace and the Black Douglas to ghostly figures and mythical creatures. So yeah, it's going to be quite an action-packed event. I will post details into the chat box. You can sign up for that now. And the only other thing really to say is that if you aren't a member of Lanarkshire Family History Society and you want to join, annual membership ranges from £10 to £16. You get 3 journals a year, a monthly e-news, and use of the Society's Research Centre in Motherwell. I'll pop some information on that into the chat box as well. So I think I need probably a wee drink since it's...
All right.
Cheers,
Cheers.
everyone. Cheers, everyone. I hope you've all got your Christmas jumpers on and brought your
look, I got to
mulled
show you
wine.
mine.
Go.
So mine is Elf,
Oh, lovely.
and then
That is fab.
totally tacky.
I need to know, how do you wash it?
I don't know.
You've not thought of that?
I'll let you know.
Right, so I've
Hopefully
got...
I don't spill anything on it.
I've got a penguin.
Oh, look at that. That's so cute.
And I've got a hat on, which took a bit of doing because I've got a headset on, but there you go. So yeah, I've got Scotland's next national drink, which is gin at the moment, which has become
So do I.
very popular.
So mine is rhubarb and ginger. What's yours?
Strawberry lemonade.
Ooh, is it good?
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely. When you come over next year, we'll have a couple. Right, so what we thought we would do is we've got a couple of short presentations, and Christine and myself are going to be going through these. Mine is all about the food. It's all about Christmas dinner and the traditions of Christmas dinner. So let me just start sharing my screen. There's so many things open.
I'll close out to give you some bandwidth, and I'll be back when you're done.
No problem. Okay, so Christmas dinner traditions. We all love it. We all love the traditions of Christmas. We all love sitting round about the table and spending a bit of time with our loved ones during Christmas. And I think before I start, it's worth mentioning that for a time, Hogmanay was actually a much bigger deal for the people of Scotland than Christmas ever was. Following the Reformation, when Scotland split from the Catholic Church, Christmas was removed from the calendar, and in 1583 the Glasgow Kirk at St Mungo's, or Glasgow Cathedral as we all know it now, ordered the excommunication of those who celebrated Christmas or Yule. In those days it was actually a serious crime to celebrate Christmas or even sing a Christmas carol, and although they thought anybody that was basically caught doing so would be punished, which is quite hard to believe nowadays. Because, you take it so much for granted now. After years of build-up, in 1640, an Act of Parliament was passed that made celebrating Yule illegal. This ban was officially repealed in 1712, but the Church continued to frown upon the festive celebrations. Punishments for celebrating Yule were harsh, and there was no public holiday for the Scottish people on Christmas Day. This ban ultimately meant that the Scottish people would focus their celebration around New Year, which we know as Hogmanay, and the 2 days that followed it. Obviously, because the Scots are quite well known for liking a wee dram at the New Year. So by the time it came to the Victorian period, interest in Christmas started to build again, and it wasn't actually until 1958 that Christmas Day was made an official public holiday in Scotland, and Boxing Day would actually follow in 1972. So it's worth bearing all this in mind if you have Scottish ancestors, and obviously when we go through this, think about your family history as the whole of the UK. So if you've got English ancestors, they perhaps would do things a bit different from the Scottish or the Irish. And I mean, it's actually quite interesting because I had been speaking to my mum about this last year when I was writing a blog article about Hogmanay, and she remembers my grandfather, who was a bank manager at the Royal Bank of Scotland in Glasgow, going to work on Christmas Day. And she said that they would get up in the morning and my gran had decorated all the house the night before, and they would have their Christmas dinner and they would give presents. But it was a normal working day for everybody to kind of go to work, and they had days off at Hogmanay. It is worth noting that there is much less meat in our Christmas dinner today than there ever was in years gone by. So I want to take you back to the days when a large proportion of our ancestors worked as agricultural labourers. The spring and summer months would see them focus on hay production. Then during the harvest months, the hay would be cut, gathered and stored for the winter months. In November, with winter approaching, they would focus on their flocks. And as there is a lot less grass about, they would move them into the barn. Hay at that time was a valuable commodity, so decisions had to be made on which animals would be fed over the winter months and which would be killed. Remember too that over the winter months there was a bit less to do. They didn't have the same work in the fields. It was more focused on the animals that were indoors at the time. So they had a bit more time on their hands, and this was the time when they would go out hunting and they would go out shooting. So, sorry, somebody came in there and I just lost my place. So people would eat a much wider range of birds in those days compared to what we do now. So you find that birds such as larks, pigeons and woodcocks were all fair game, pardon the pun. In some areas of Britain, it was customary to hunt wrens on Boxing Day. The one bird that was never hunted, however, was the robin, as apparently the robin, it was seen to be bad luck to actually shoot a robin or eat a robin. So you might say, give me 2 seconds. Noise. So you might say that December was a bit of an avian massacre. An 18th century recipe details a large turkey being stuffed with a whole goose, which in turn was stuffed with a chicken. The chicken was then stuffed with a pigeon, and then the pigeon with a partridge. The whole thing is really a bit of a vegetarian's nightmare, and to be honest, it actually gives me meat sweats just thinking about it. Interestingly, something similar has cropped up in recent years when a budget supermarket produced a 4-bird roast. Not something when they brought it out that I actually realised stemmed from way back. So for most families throughout the year, meat was a luxury food. They maybe would only have it on special occasions. A lot of people could not afford it. But now that Christmas was approaching, the larder was full of meat. And in fact, a 17th century book details what should be served for Christmas dinner. So we have a collar of brawn. Brawn is actually meat from pig or calves' heads, and it's actually cooked and pressed into jelly. There is stewed broth of mutton marrow bones, a boiled partridge, a grand salad. I don't actually know what a grand salad would be because obviously they didn't have a lot of what we know now as salad vegetables during those months. It may have been root vegetables. We'd have a beef or sirloin roast, a kid with a pudding in its belly, which does not sound very appetising, some minced pies, a potage of caponettes. So that is, it's a potage is a soup, and a capon's actually a rooster. And it goes on. So we've got a jigget of mutton, a swan roast, which how people would even think about eating swans, I just do not know. A pasty of venison, a breast of veal, roasted venison, turkey roast, a chicken and pastry dish, and the good old favourite of steak pie. And then they also would have custard. Now, it is worth noting this is the first course. The second course was actually much larger and included meats such as quails and pigeons. Now, you may wonder how they managed to get through so much food, especially when their diet may have been limited throughout the year. I honestly do not know. And I mean, obviously, they would not want to waste food in those days. They would waste a lot less than we would as well. So yeah, it's a lot to get through. It perhaps would be spread over several days as a kind of 3-day feast. So you might wonder where the veg was, where our ancestors getting their 5 a day. Let's have a look what was on offer. So there were nuts in abundance. They kept well, and they still are a Christmas staple. I don't know about you, but I still love buying the nets of mixed nuts and sitting with the nutcracker over the Christmas holidays. It's something that I've done since I was a kid, and just, yeah, love it. I have to get the nets of nuts. And then there was little fruit other than occasional dried fruit, most of which had to be imported from the likes of Spain. So it was expensive, and a lot of people just wouldn't be able to afford that. Plums dried well and would be used for plum pudding, which was the forerunner to our Christmas pudding. Hidden inside, you might be fortunate enough to find a silver sixpence. Prior to the silver sixpence, it was a threepenny bit. Obviously, inflation saw it rise through time to a sixpence. And before the threepenny bit, it would have been a bean, and the bean was said to bring good luck. Butter, brandy butter was not actually added until about the 1930s. So what about the controversial Brussels sprout, you might ask? This has the population divided. It's one of those topics that, it's just the same kind of thing as, do you like Marmite? Do you either love it or hate it? I'd love to have a poll. Pop a note in the chat. Are you a lover? Are you a hater of Brussels sprouts? Let's find out, how many are one way and how many are the other. I personally do not like it. I've always felt it puts a kind of weird shiver down your spine, and I do try one every Christmas, but no, I just can't get used to it. I really can't. So the first mention of Brussels sprouts is in a book by Eliza Acton in 1845. However, the recipe that she provided actually saw the Brussels sprouts being buttered and eaten on toast. It certainly makes me wonder if the haters amongst us might prefer this option. The main reason that sprouts became popular was that they grow in the winter. We're not always able to get hold of imported fruit and vegetables all year round, and we had to go with what was in season. It's said that the sprouts tasted good after the first frost, and that the ice actually sweetened them. Parsnips were a later addition, and it is said that those with slightly frozen roots have the best flavour. For the wealthier, serving tomatoes, beans, or even asparagus was a way of showing off the talents of your gardeners and what they were able to do in their greenhouse, so probably for the more well-to-do families. And a Christmas dinner would not be a Christmas dinner without a Christmas cracker, which actually leads me on to Christine's section. But before I do, I just want to wish everyone Merry Christmas and best wishes for 2022. All the webinars that we have done throughout the year are being prepared into a list. So if you actually missed any, this year. You will get details through Lanarkshire Family History Society, and Christine will have a copy, I'll have a copy, so if you want something to keep you busy over the holidays, give us a shout and we will happily pass that on. Christine.
Yeah, that was fab. Yeah, you know what? It's such a rich diet. You have to wonder how they survived it, eh? After.
I know. So we've got some talk about, I love
Personally,
them.
I love
Mary's saying
Brussels
she loves them. Her husband hates them. Maureen loves them. She could eat them at any meal. Wow. Joanne says hated them when I was a kid, but now I just lost that chat. Hated them when I was a kid, but now love them. Always cook them with bacon. Claire likes them. You love them. Right, I think I'm the odd one out. But do you know it's funny because I eat a lot of vegetables. There you go. Dallas is saying could take them or leave them. Yep. My cousin actually last year, I eat a lot of vegetables raw. So I like raw carrots. I don't mind raw cabbage, raw turnip. And my cousin said to me that actually a Brussels sprout raw was so much better. So maybe I should try that. Yep. Right, so I'll leave you to get on with Christmas crackers.
The history of the Christmas cracker. Right. So most of us will have Christmas crackers at our Christmas dinner, but have you ever wondered where they came from and why they are so popular? The Christmas cracker was invented by confectioner and pastry baker Tom Smith. As a young man, Smith worked in a shop in London and developed a fascination for decorations that were used on wedding cakes. During a trip to France, Smith became aware of bonbons. Most of us have seen these at weddings. They're the sugar-covered almonds that we get often in a net bag. In those days, the almonds were wrapped in colorful paper. Smith was intrigued and decided to take the idea home to England. He discovered that these were a big hit during the Christmas season, but the excitement quickly fizzled. Smith was certain that this could be a big seller all year round, and he continued to mull over how to make the idea more interesting. Legend had it that while he was sitting in front of his fire one night, he was listening to the coals crackling and decided that the answer to the marketing dilemma was to add a pop. So Smith added silver fulminate to make the packages snap when they were opened. He renamed them Cossacks. The Cossack soldiers were known for firing their guns into the air as they rode through town. The size of the cracker increased to be able to accommodate the silver fulminate device, but the shape remained essentially the same. He called them bangs of expectation. Smith added romantic messages and silly riddles to his candy, wrapped them in paper, and used the silver fulminate to add the spark. Smith marketed these newly reinvigorated crackers as bangs of expectation, and suddenly he was inundated with orders. Smith began adding gifts to his crackers and took this product on the road in an attempt to expand the market. When he passed away, the company went to his sons, Tom, Walter, and Henry. Walter introduced the paper hats into each cracker, shaped like a crown to symbolize the three wise men. Many of the early hats were made of the finest tissue paper and made on an actual hat maker's stand. The sons began adding gifts into the crackers as well: bracelets, scarf pins made by Saxony, and small pillbox-sized containers of makeup. The company built up their themed crackers for bachelor's parties or spinsters, suffragettes, war heroes, and even for Charlie Chaplin. You can see here one for the princess. Special crackers were made for the coronation, and were specially commissioned crackers are still made each year for the royal family. During World War I, cracker production was banned. The reason isn't clear, but it is thought that this was because of the need for silver fulminate had increased. In order to protect the supply for soldiers, the government banned them for recreational use. Following the war, thousands of cracks were once again available, and the Smiths once again began producing their crackers in earnest. Today, millions of crackers are enjoyed by families around the world and have, for many, become an integral part of Christmas family tradition. And that's my granny and my cousin. They were always a big part of our family, as you can see. The table is decorated. It's something that we still carry on today.
I love that. Bangs of expectation.
Bangs
Will we
of
try one?
expectation.
Will we try
Aye.
one? Oh, it didn't really bang. I don't think they're as good as they used to
Not
be.
as much fulminate.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. That's actually not bad. I've got a little star. Oh, if I can get it out of the bag. Oh, the excitement. The expectation. Look, a little star cookie cutter.
Oh, that's fabulous.
That is quite good. I can make little star
Shortbreads
cookies.
or something with them.
Yeah. Silver. I always hated the hat because I've got a small head and it always fell down. And I actually think nowadays that the jokes that come in them are so much better because you actually get a lot more. So it's got like a joke, an anagram, a little cartoon type thing. Yep. And then a kind of thing that you read out and people have to guess what animal it is.
Yeah.
They're
We always read those out.
A lot better now than they were. That was fab. I love that. Bangs of expectation.
Bangs of expectation.
I know.
So Diane asked what year, and I was looking it up. So it started in 1847. That he went to France and found them. So they've been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I had no idea of the history. I introduced them to my US friends. I missed the rest of that.
They think they're a little strange, but they indulge me. Now I'll be able to tell them the history. Fab. And then I like that Diane's also said that Brussels sprouts, she loves them baked or barbecued. Now that might be quite nice barbecued because some vegetables
that would
do taste better barbecued, don't they?
I do mine roasted sometimes.
Right.
Just split them in half and roast them.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think what we'll do is we'll stop the recording. So
bring everybody in.
Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, the next webinar is the 13th of January at 7 p.m. And it will be focusing on Year of Stories. And have a great Christmas and New Year.
And as you're getting organized to stop the recording, Graham Johncock runs Scotland Stories, and he's on Instagram, he's on Twitter, he's on Facebook, and he's my morning read. I get up in the morning. I'm so glad that he's up ahead of me. Get up in the morning and have my coffee and sit and read whatever he's posted. It's all over Scotland. Yeah. It's fabulous history.
I'm looking forward to that actually, and I think he's going to be doing something for Kilted Ancestors as well. So if you don't make it in January, certainly catch him in Kilted Ancestors. He goes actually and does tours with his dog. And his website is pretty good as well. Mm-hmm. So his website's great. So we'll stop recording there and see everyone in January.
Molly.